this episode lands for you, I want you to know that there is a free burnout audit in the show notes. It's not a personality quiz, it's a diagnostic, and it's specifically designed for women in this season of life who need to understand what's actually happening underneath the exhaustion. It takes about 5 minutes, and it gives you language that most of us have never had for what we're carrying. And the link is in the show notes. Can I tell you something that nobody told me when I was standing in the middle of it? What you're experiencing, the rage, the exhaustion, the grief that doesn't quite have a name, the feeling that you love your family deeply and also want to absolutely hurl yourself out the window. That's not a breakdown. It's a breakthrough trying to happen. And perimenopause didn't cause it. Perimenopause just finally told you the truth. Welcome back to Unapologetic Edge. I'm Philippa Scott, maternal transitions doula, creator of the Regulated Mother Method, and someone who has sat with enough women in their 40s to know that the most dangerous thing we ever did was confuse function with being okay. Today we're starting something I've wanted to do for a long time. This is week 1 of a 5-week series called The Mother Awakening Arc. And today I'm going to introduce you to the framework I've been developing for years, one that I genuinely believe changes how women understand the entire arc of their motherhood. It's called the Mother Awakening Cycle. And by the end of this episode, I want you to be able to look at your own life and go, that's what's been happening to me. That's what this is. Because naming something is the first act of reclaiming it. Let's start here. When you become a mother, what were you told to expect? Maybe some version of it's going to be hard, but so worth it. Sleep deprivation, feeding challenges, maybe some information about postnatal mood, and then life goes on. You adapt, you cope, you get good at managing. Nobody told us that motherhood was going to reorganize us at a cellular level. Not just our schedules, our nervous systems, our identities, our relationships to power, our entire brain structure. Nobody said, by the time you're in your 40s, the cumulative weight of who you've had to be as a mother is going to collide with the biological shift of perimenopause. And the whole lot is going to demand a reckoning. That reckoning has a name, and I want to give it to you today. The Mother Awakening Cycle is a developmental framework. It describes the identity and nervous system transitions that motherhood initiates, not once, but repeatedly across a woman's life. And this isn't a linear journey. It's a spiral. And every time your life changes, every time your child moves into a new developmental stage, every time a relationship shifts, every time your body starts demanding something different, the cycle begins at a deeper level. There are 6 stages. And I want to walk you through all of them today because I need you to see the whole picture first. Then over the next 4 weeks, we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into each one. The 6 stages are 1, initiation, 2, accommodation, 3, fragmentation, 4, awakening, 5, reclamation, 6, integration. Now, before I explain each one, I want you to notice something. This is a cycle, which means every stage is valid, every stage is developmental. You're not failing at stage 3. You're moving through a cycle that most women have never been given language for. Right, let's go. Stage 1, initiation. Initiation is the threshold moment. A new stage of motherhood begins. For some of you listening, the first initiation was birth. That original moment of becoming a mother. For others, it was adoption or step parenting, or the moment your child's diagnosis changed everything you thought you knew. And here's the thing about initiation that most women don't realize. It keeps happening. Every major life shift is a new initiation. Your child starting school, the chaos of adolescence, and for many women listening to this right now, perimenopause. Perimenopause is one of the most profound initiations a woman will ever experience. And unlike the birth of the baby, nobody throws you a shower for it. Your body changes, your hormones shift, your emotional landscape becomes, shall we say, more vivid. And everything that was manageable before starts to feel less manageable. And that's not you falling apart. That's an initiation doing what initiations do, cracking you open enough that something new can emerge. Stage 2, accommodation. This is the stage that most high-functioning women spend years in, possibly decades. Accommodation is where you adjust yourself to meet the demands. You stretch, you absorb more responsibility, you tell yourself it's temporary, you get better at managing, you get good at holding everything together, and you feel a certain satisfaction in the way, in the fact that you can. From the outside, you look capable, reliable, you've got it together. Inside, your nervous system is slowly, quietly tightening. Accommodation is where women lose themselves, not in a dramatic way, but in 1,000 tiny adjustments. A preference you stopped mentioning, a need you learned to not have, a dream that got filed under, not for now, so many times that it started to feel like not for me. And here's why perimenopause is such a confrontation for women in accommodation. Your hormones were one of the things keeping you holding the load. And estrogen, among many things, is kind of a buffer, a chemical willingness to keep going. When that shifts, the accommodation that felt sustainable starts to feel absolutely impossible. And women think something has gone wrong with them. Nothing has gone wrong with you. Your system is refusing to keep accommodating what no longer fits. Stage 3, fragmentation. Fragmentation is where most women finally seek help. It's the stage that looks from the outside like falling apart. But what's actually happening is that years of invisible labor and accumulated self-abandonment have reached critical mass. You know you're in fragmentation when you feel chronically overwhelmed by things that used to be manageable. When resentment is sitting in your chest more often than not, when your emotional reactivity is surprising even you, when you feel disconnected from yourself in a way that's hard to even describe. Most women in fragmentation believe that they're failing. They're not failing. Their nervous system is finally telling the truth about how much it's been asking for. For perimenopausal women, fragmentation can feel particularly brutal because the hormonal landscape is shifting at the same time. Your window of emotional tolerance genuinely narrows. Your capacity for stress genuinely changes. And if you don't understand what's happening in your nervous system, you will interpret all of this as evidence that you're losing your mind. You are not losing your mind. You are losing your patience for a life that stopped fitting. Stage 4, awakening. This is the stage that changes everything. The awakening is the moment that a woman realizes something deeper is happening. It's not just stress. It's not just hormones. Something inside her, some part of her she maybe hasn't spoken to in years, is standing up and saying, the old way is unsustainable. Something has to change, and that something starts with me. The awakening can feel disorienting. It can feel like grief. It very often feels like rage. It's also the most powerful moment in the entire cycle because the awakening is not a breakdown. It's the beginning of the rebuilding. Perimenopause and the awakening have a particular relationship that I find genuinely fascinating. And we're going to do a deep dive into this in week 4. But briefly, the biological shift of perimenopause stripped away a lot of the suppression that kept women compliant with lives that don't fit. Women in perimenopause become less tolerant of being minimized, less patient with dynamics that drain them, less willing to perform wellness that they don't feel. And that's not instability. That's a woman waking up. All right, stage 5 is reclamation. Reclamation is where the work begins. Once a woman has moved through the awakening, once she's named what's happening and decided she's not going back, reclamation is where she starts building the new version. She learns to regulate her nervous system. She starts to understand the trauma responses that surface through her parenting and her relationships. She begins to set boundaries, not from fear, but from a new understanding of what she actually needs. She reclaims her identity, her preferences, her needs, her voice. This is where the regulated mother method lives. This is the practical work of the cycle. And for perimenopausal women, reclamation is remarkable because the hormonal shift that made accommodation unbearable is also the thing that makes reclamation so powerful. There is a clarity that arrives in this season, a willingness to say what's true, a refusal to perform versions of yourself that were never quite right. Now, stage 6, this is integration. Integration is where motherhood becomes a place of leadership rather than depletion. A woman in integration is not perfect. She is regulated. She is grounded. She knows her nervous system. She's done the work to understand the patterns she inherited, and she has consciously chosen which one she passes forward and which one stocks with her. She's what I call the family architect. She's designing her family culture, not accident, not by default, but with intention. And then, because this is the cycle, not a destination, something changes. A new life stage arrives and the spiral begins again at a deeper level. Every time it deepens, every loop brings more awareness, more capacity, and more authority. Motherhood is a cycle of awakening, not a role to survive. You were never supposed to just manage through this season. You were never supposed to just get to the other side of perimenopause and exhale with relief that it's all over. This is an invitation, the most significant one your life might offer you. And the fact that it feels enormous, the fact that it feels like you're cracking, that's not evidence that something is wrong with you. That's evidence that the cycle is doing exactly what it was supposed to do. Next week, we're going into the first 2 stages, initiation and accommodation, and specifically how perimenopause collide with the years of invisible stretching that brought you here. It's a real conversation, and I'm not going to hold back. In the meantime, there are 2 things I'd love you to do. First, take the burnout audit. It's in the show notes and it's free. It's specifically designed for women in this season. It goes beyond you're tired and into the actual nervous system and identity picture beneath the burnout. That's your starting point for this series. Second, if this episode resonates, if you're listening and felt something loosen, share it with one woman who needs it. You know who she is. Like it, subscribe to the channel. It's good to know that you'll hear the next one and you'll be notified when it comes out. I'm Philippa Scott. This is Unapologetic Edge, and I will see you next week.